Hello, welcome to Contemporary Theories of Social Work Practice. I'm Craig Owens, faculty at the University of New England School of Social Work, and I'll be your guide during these brief lectures each week. I hope you enjoy this course. We have been spending a lot of effort to keep it current, to keep it up to date, and to give you folks the best practice information that we can provide for you as of this point in time. This is one of my personal favorite courses, 552, and then the sister course that follows is 553. So I hope you enjoy them and you get a lot from them. So let's talk a little bit about what lies ahead. This course, much like many of the courses you've been taking, I'm sure, will have an active discussion board each week. There's there's a single discussion board forum each week. We don't have multiple forums. We really want you to have the opportunity to focus and really dig in. So there'll be one board, often multiple parts to the discussion. So you'll need to spend a little bit of time there, but hopefully you'll find working in one forum to be helpful. In many of the discussions, you'll be asked to simulate practice in one way or another. So I encourage you to really dive in and engage that. When it asks for sample conversations, then that's an important part of the learning for that week, and your instructors will be looking for that and giving you feedback on that. So this first week we open with a bang. We dive right into a theory and a theory for practice and why that's important. Talk about reflexivity, and we talk about course outcome measurement systems that we are finding to be so important. So without further ado, let's go to theory. So I suspect this is refresher for you. The theories they're different levels of theory, and case theory would explain the behavior of an individual, or perhaps a family or a given community situation. Then mid-range theories begin to put sets of case theories together and create a little bit broader theories. And then grand theories like conflict theory, relational cultural theory, strengths-based theory, those are much broader theories that attempt to explain a much larger set of events and cases. In this class, you're going to be developing your own practice theory. And practice theories provide perspectives on interventions, give you some ideas of some possible places to think about starting. They provide ideas about human nature, give you they're sort of the basis for hypotheses to help predict and explain different situations and behavior, and provide guidance for choosing therapeutic interventions. As you finish this program, you'll come out of this program with a number of intervention possibilities in your social work clinical backpack, and the theory helps you decide which ones that you might want to choose. So the specific you're going to take this to a more of a ground level in this class and create your own social work theory for practice, your personal philosophy practice statement. That's a mouthful, isn't it? For PPPS for short, which you'll see referenced throughout some of the modules and in the assignments. So, and think about these things as you begin to think about your theory. Think about what you can do to make sure that your approach is client-centered, that you put the client in the role of expert, what can you do to ensure you step back and create space for that it's trauma-informed, strengths-based, understandable. One of the things we'll ask you to do at the end of this course is summarize your personal philosophy in one sentence. And students find that to be incredibly challenging. So it needs to be understandable, easy to recall. Should be based on best knowledge at this point and in alignment with professional values, and probably as important as anything, in line with your own personal passion. What are you passionate about? So related to theory is reflexive practice. It should be related to your practice philosophy, I should say, is reflexive practice. And reflexivity, this won't be the first time you've heard about this, and hopefully not the last time you hear about it. But it's all about really putting ourselves into the equation, becoming part of the therapeutic process and part of the relationship. It's reflexive practice asks us to constantly think about how are we, our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, our beliefs, how is that influencing the relationship with the individual or individuals we're working with at this moment in time? How do I know what I think I know about this person and their problem? Where's that coming from, right? Because there's often some other stuff in there, some of our own stuff. How's my own culture, experience, and beliefs affecting this? One great thing I love to ask is this question of, is there at least one other way of understanding this? Because you're going to have a reaction as you meet someone new, or a new family, or a new situation in the community, and try to push yourself to say, is there another way of actually seeing this? Could this situation that's being viewed perhaps as a problem or a disorder or something, could it actually result from normal consequences of everyday life or broader structural disadvantage? And how can you use your professional power as productively as possible? So as you think about theories and preferred practice approaches, I want to just say a few words about this thing called eclectic practice. I have to say it's an area of personal frustration for me, because I have supervised, well, I won't say how many, it's been a lot, supervised a lot of clinical social workers over the years, and helped a lot of new social workers go through their initial training and experience period and get their license. And I have to say it's become sort of a red flag for me when I ask somebody what their practice approach is. What particular theories do they think guide them, and what particular interventions are they most likely to use or drawn toward? And they answer me with, I'm eclectic. I can't pin this down to any one particular thing because I'm eclectic. I embrace a lot of theories. And I have to tell you, it's a red flag for me, because what I've found when I push that with folks, sometimes that's legitimate, it's genuine, they have a lot of experience and they draw from a wide array of things, but more often than not, what eclectic comes down to is they don't really have a theory. They're just going to work, they're going into the office, they're meeting with clients, and they're talking to them. And I think we owe people more than that. I think we owe people a planful, thoughtful approach to practice. So my 2 cents on this is, pick a few particular intervention modalities. You'll have a chance to look at a number in this course. Pick a couple that really resonate with you and start there and grow from there. So here's another this was actually a game changer, which is that what we've learned over the last decade particularly, and the research now is overwhelming, is that there is no particular therapeutic approach or intervention that's actually research proven to be better than any other once you normalize for the relationship. In other words, I'm a narrative, I call myself a narrative therapist. I do other things as well, but you could line me up against somebody who's a CBT therapist, and the person that's going to get better results with clients is the person who's able to connect with their clients better, if that makes sense. What the research is showing is that the effect of the relationship, what we call the therapist effects, is 6 to 9 times more important, has 6 to 9 times more impact on the therapeutic outcomes, whether or not a person benefits or not, than the model or technique. Isn't that astounding? I mean, the first time I learned it, I was like blown away. And I've just been drawn into this like you wouldn't believe over the last 5 years. It's so important. We emphasize it. I emphasize it in every clinical class that I teach. The client's perception of empathy, how they perceive your empathizing with them, is more powerful than any particular modality you could choose or use. In fact, what we're finding is that the most important factors are relationship with the practitioner, having a safe setting, understandable rationale, that, in other words, you're able to explain what you're doing with people instead of just doing stuff, which happens with too many therapists. And it's a collaborative process. The common elements involved in this are, as I mentioned, it's the therapeutic alliance and the practitioner, the therapist's ongoing attention to the client's perspective. How well are you attending to the client? These two folks, this man really connecting with this young man, right? Are we really doing that in our sessions? That's the most important thing. And there's skills involved in that. Some of it, I agree, some people are a little bit more naturally strong at than others, but there's skills involved. So when you look at the research on this, what we know is that whether or not a person benefits from seeing you as a clinical social worker is 40% of that rests with the client. It's what they bring to the table. And this isn't about motivation or desire. This is about them and what they know about their life and their issue. It's putting the client as expert, right? 30% is the relationship. 15% is your guiding theory. And 15%, here's a kicker, 15% is just related to hope. It's a placebo effect, that they came to see us believing something would happen. So that's a bit humbling, don't you think? It is for me to think that only 15% is what we bring to the table in terms of intervention. 40% is the client and 30% is the relationship. I hope that really resonates with you. The other thing we know is the way you can get better at this and make significant changes and differences in terms of people's experience of you and with you is to constantly evaluate your effectiveness with your clients. Don't do something outside of the session. Don't do something, indirect. You want to get feedback every session. We're going to expose you in this class to these things called session rating scales. Here's a copy of one right here. I use this with every client in every session. And you go through it at the end of the session, and the client rates whether they felt heard, didn't feel heard, whether they thought your approach was good today, whether there was something missing. And believe me, I've had people challenge me and say, do clients really do this? And trust me, if you invite them and you mean it, then they'll really do it. So we'll be talking more about this. I hope you get as jazzed up about this as I am. And I apologize for some of the background noise. I'm recording wherever I can these days. And so sometimes it ends up with interesting background noises. So what do we have coming on this week? Thanks for listening. That's our first brief lecture. This week you will begin to work on your own theory for practice. You'll look more closely at these common factors that I just discussed, and you'll actually start to practice using the session rating and outcome scales to improve your effectiveness as a therapist. Keep in mind, it's something that I'm still doing faithfully and in a really disciplined way with every client, even at this stage in my career. And it's made a huge difference. So welcome. I hope you enjoy the journey. Hope you enjoy the class. That's the end of our first lecture. Take care.